Out how the experts feel about this. Higher education institutions and government could have avoided several crises earlier this year. That's according to higher education research professor Nico Cloete. Well, students, as we know, protested for weeks over the cost of tertiary education and historical debt that happened a couple of weeks ago. Let's discuss it further now with Nico Cloete from the Centre for Higher Education Trust. Prof, good morning. Thanks so much for your time. You've written extensively about why we find ourselves in the position we do now with regard to higher education, and you say that we could have avoided several crises. How?
Well, the issue is, I'm not just talking about this latest crisis. We've had a series of crises, and I'm arguing that that we could have foreseen all of them if there was a will to actually do something about it. For the students who are so busy in the present, just a short history. In 1995, Nelson Mandela set up a National Commission on Higher Education, and I was a research director for that. And on the first morning that it met, the commission just said, if we want to transform the system, we've got to get more black students into the system. If we're going to bring more black students into the system, we're going to have to provide them with financial support. So the first report that the Commission wrote within a few months with international assistance was about a student loan scheme. Now, I just want to that something people forget sometimes is that the first decision was that we must bring in more black students. There is no discussion about that in South Africa. At the end of 2019 statistics, South Africa's university system is 90% black. This is the fastest change in racial composition that I know of anywhere in the world. So this was a huge achievement in terms of bringing about change from the Commission. But with such a fast change and so many people coming into it, there was obviously going to be the issue of that the Commission had discussed on the first morning was the finances.
Absolutely.
Now, we wrote a report arguing for a student loan scheme. We got international advice, etc., and we were told that the Australian system is the best system. It's called an income contingent loan. It's contingent on you don't pay while you're at university, but you pay when you start working.
Yeah.
And the very important point is you only pay if you work, if you have a job. If you don't have a job, then you don't pay back. And that's regarded as one of the most equitable systems in the world, and it's still working perfectly today. But we went to the Treasury, and the Treasury said that with so many whites leaving, and they've got a huge shortage of staff, they can't actually manage it.
Yeah. Because
the importance of that system is that the payment is made by the students to Treasury. So you don't need an NSFAS.
Yeah.
The department pays the university X amount, the university disperses it. The universities are much better staffed at dealing with student loans.
Prof, if I understand you correctly then, are we saying that NSFAS is actually, well, it's not working? It's not serving the purpose? And, you know, from what we've heard from students saying we were promised free education by then President Jacob Zuma, which was politics at play at that time as well. So we've got two problems we're dealing with, where all they heard was you will get free education, and then believing that a body like NSFAS was going to help them. And add to that, do we think that Minister Blade Nzimande is actually the right person for the job as well?
Well, I would agree with the latter. We have to go back to Zuma. Zuma made this announcement in the face of the Hearer Commission.
Yeah.
The same Zuma, just like he set up the Zondo Commission and then complains about the person that he appointed, he set up the Fees Commission, who recommended basically the Australian system that we had raised in 1995. It is an income contingent loan system. And then during the ANC's conference, he goes and announces free higher education.
Which we know was politics at play. Yeah, we know what was happening at the time.
It's more than politics. This has happened in a number of African countries where autocratic leaders, when they know that their cronies have stolen the money, promise free higher education. I can give you 5 or 6 examples.
All right.
And the problem is, where I think Nzimande has fallen very short. A student from Mangosuthu University of Technology the other morning raised this issue. After Zuma did this, without cabinet approval, it never went back to cabinet. Neither cabinet nor parliament has actually had a proper discussion about, is this feasible? Can this be done?
Yeah.
And at the same time, I also have to blame the university leadership, USAF. Like for instance, this last crisis, when Here announced, and Zuma announced, when Zuma announced that it will be for the poor, working class and poor, we immediately knew there's going to be a huge problem with the students whose parents earn more than 350,000.
Yes.
But there was no way that they can pay 100,000 for one child on a salary of, say, 400,000. The universities knew this was going to be a problem. None of them did anything.
But, Prof, if I can just ask you, because we are out of time, but I want to let's talk solutions very quickly. How is there a way? What can we use? What model will work for us? You speak of the Australian model, the system that they use there. What would work for us? What can South Africa sustain with our capabilities?
There is no way that we can support a vibrant and the best higher education system in Africa based on free higher education if there isn't money coming back into the system. Firstly, the government has to give a bigger proportion of the budget to higher education. The whole Chinese system changed when they went from 1% of GDP to 3% of GDP and introduced fees. When they had a free system, they were a third world system that was going nowhere. So, because funds has to come into the system. And therefore, we've got to go back to the proposal via the Hearer Commission. Okay. There has to be an income contingent system where those people who are working pay something back. We've got an official government commission that's proposed this, but for some reason, neither the cabinet, nor the parliament, nor the students want to implement it.
All right.
Because my final comment is, but it's very worrying and disappointing, is that our student body is the elite. Of every 20 students that go to start school, only 1 graduate. Now this elite now want free education, and they don't want to contribute anything to the next generation.
All right, Professor Cloete, thank you very much for that. Some insight, some food for thought there as well on where we've gone wrong and how we could possibly fix this going forward. So we're not here next year and the year after. Still to come.